Well, it is officially the end of the Actuality Abroad documentary outreach program 2026, Ho Chi Minh City. I'm sitting here with the incredible editor of the Social ChangeMaker film, Golden Hearts. Max, welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling post Actuality Abroad program? You've been here for over a month. How's it all feeling, man?
I feel like I live here. I don't know. I mean, I feel relaxed because, the whole production is, you're producing a piece of work and you're trying to make it as good as possible. And that, I think, was pretty stressful. But, when you just, at the end, you're just like, so that'll happen. And we took it very seriously, but also like, just now you can relax. Now you can just let go, just chill, spending a bit of extra time in the city so I can just relax and really just see the city and not, distance it from being like a work trip. So, I feel great.
That's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. It was awesome, obviously, having that moment at the screening where you got to be there, you got to see the film, and a lot of people from Social ChangeMakers, the film that we did, and we'll get into that in a moment, but how was it actually being there at the screening, being in a location where you actually filmed earlier, when I first arrived on the trip? What was it actually like being there with a lot of the people that were a part of the greater movie that you made and actually getting to share that with them?
Honestly, like just going straight to the screening is like, like I was really only looking for one particular reaction, and it was from the subject of our documentary, and I would say that went over pretty well. So everything else is like what I remember of the rest of everything else of that night is just whatever, man. And honestly, even outside of that, it makes it sound negative, but it's like overall pretty good reaction, I think. But Rosie's was the one I was focusing on, and it's like she was happy, so I'm happy.
Exactly, and her name is Rosie Happy, and she was extra happy with I think the reaction and the fact that like she's one of those people that just kind of rallies everyone together for these big events. She actually designed the poster for the documentary screening, which I don't know if that's a rare thing, but it's certainly amazing initiative from her to actually do that and to spread the events. So it was awesome to see her there. I completely agree. Her dog was there as well, Poppy. So that was kind of nice to see everyone there. Before we get any further into like, your experience with the film and all, Max, give us like a background to the audience about where you're from. I mean, for those watching this visually, they'll see a very distinct thing on your hat, which might give that away. But for those listening, give us a little bit of a background where you're from and what actually brought you to this program.
I'm from Toronto, Canada, or, well, as we say it, Toronto, we love it. Trannuh is how it's spelt. Anyway, Toronto, much colder, definitely. But anyway, coming across the program was very interesting because I remember where I was. I was actually at a hockey game.
The most Canadian response to this. I love it.
And we were just like at the table before the game at this like sports bar across the street, this really nice place. And then my mom, who was also there, she like forwards me an email about some like thing to do with like a documentary thing in like South Africa, which had showed up on LinkedIn somewhere, from my my grandmother, because she used to work for a Canadian like news station for a while, and so she gets all this kind of stuff, and she was like, would Max be interested in this? And then it was like, okay, so I looked into it, and then that one didn't quite pan out, but then it was like, okay, but wait, this is a thing, this happens. So then I keep looking into that, and it was actually my mom who found out about Actuality Abroad, and then, all of a sudden I'm in like a Google Meet or Zoom call with Robin, and then a month later I'm on a plane
Wow.
So I like to think, or well, I didn't really think about it until after we had officially wrapped working here, but it was like I was probably the last person on the ship.
Wow.
But
Wow.
it was like it's just special, and I guess from a certain perspective you might call it like spontaneous, but it's also like it's also, having been here, I want to keep doing this. So it's like I want to keep, just where can I find an excuse to film and travel? How can I put that together? And that's, I mean, the nature of film is, part of it is travel. So it just works perfectly.
And I think a really unique part of your personality that I've picked up on this trip is certainly, you're certainly got an outgoing nature. Like you're getting out there, you're going to really cool places, and you're really experiencing the local culture. And obviously Actuality Abroad does an amazing job of integrating that into the program as well, with obviously the ChangeMakers, obviously like the pre-production experience with going out and doing certain tours. I think we had a unique experience because we were tour guides, or should I say tourists, with local tour guides in a movie. So we got a lot of that extra. I feel like we were kind of privileged in that position. Yeah. But like in a lot of ways, like your encyclopedic knowledge of film was something that really struck me. And we obviously had a good time, being able to exchange a lot of movie quotes and a lot of movie knowledge. But your film knowledge far exceeds mine as far as just some of these smaller films that you're aware of. So for you, like coming on this program, have you sort of found that like you see filmmaking in a different light because of this experience, or you think it's just added to your already, awesome kind of kaleidoscope of film?
Kaleidoscope.
So
like that.
Thank you, mate.
But I do think that this trip in particular is like, well, is it possible to say both? Like,
I think so.
Because on one hand, it is an extension of what I already am familiar with and what I already understand. And I guess any connotations I might have had about documentary have been either taken down or replaced or reinforced or whatever based on just this whole process. But really the main thing is it's so like when you're going on any trip of any kind, especially for a month or more, you really are looking at, and especially for me being the first time I've done anything of this capacity, this length, this whatever, is you're expecting to at least at some point have a transformative experience. And I got that, but it's never, and I know it happens a lot when people do this kind of thing, but it's like I never expected it to be as like expansive and extensive and amazing for me personally as it was, because like it's just there's the film itself, but we got to meet a lot of people for the film, and then just working with people and just through Actuality Abroad, people on the other crews and my crew and everyone, just meeting people, it's just amazing. And people who have similar aspirations to me in a work kind of context and even a personal context, is people who I'm definitely going to stay in touch with. And, it's like, if I have a film and it gets into some festival somewhere, it's like, hey, are you around, blah, 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 blah. And then, you maybe, the thing is, most of the people here, I feel like I can both be comfortable just having a couple beers with, but I can also feel comfortable making a film with. Like, there's so much, and usually I know it's not necessarily the best idea to always mix that, but I've had experiences that fit in both of those categories with most of the people here, and they're all pleasant, honestly. So it's, these are people I want to hang out with, work with, whatever. I want to keep the party going, as it were, and travel as soon as possible, get back on the road. And there's people who came here from all over the world, and wherever I end up is, I'd say, the odds of meeting up with most of the people from this program again, is very, very high. So
I love that.
Really, it's exciting.
I love that. It is really exciting. The network around the sorts of people that you're meeting with a range of different experiences, but also, you know, from all around the world is one of the unique parts of this program. Like, I guess for you, like, you're so early on your filmmaking journey in the sense of, you know, you're still very early on in your college degree, right? And so, you know, for me as well, like 10 years ago when I did this program as a participant, like I was only 19 in the program, and I felt like I was a big fish out of water because a lot of the participants in the program were like over 24 years old and had already been at film school, or at least in the industry. And it was kind of like, wow, you know, that can kind of be a little bit overwhelming, where you feel like, you know, will I fit in with these people?
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, you pick it up pretty quickly. And have you kind of found that, like, you've been able to really lean on a lot of people, learn from them, learn from their life experiences through that as well?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I guess it depends on, like, how, not necessarily their personality or my personality, but just how our different personalities kind of go together. Is, again, having pleasant experiences with everyone, but also in that it depends, like, between work and life, like, there's some people who I definitely am, every single person here, I got a vibe is in their own kind of stage, their own phase of life right now. Even we have people who are the same age, and between the two of them, there's, like, you know, there's so much different. And it's not just like, they're definitely not in the same phase of life or anything. And, you know, it's just, or in their career too, definitely. And, you know, because, like, the age and the stage of, like, personal maturity and career maturity, like, never really, like, line up, I guess. And it's interesting to see, you know, people in all these different phases and just all these different places and everything, just both geographically and in their life, just come to this one place and focus on this one thing with people from all over the place. And we bring work experiences, but also, especially for me, is more like just personal experiences. And yeah, I guess it just depends on who I'm talking to, because certain people I'd talk about, like, more like personal stuff, sometimes, you know, deep, like, late night conversation stuff.
Love it.
And then some people, it's just like, yeah, it's talking about film, you know, and specifically, like, the documentary. And sometimes it's, with some people, it's like talking about just, like, cinema as, like, an art form. And, you know, it's just like, it doesn't matter what we're talking about, I'm always having a blast. So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And it is good when you have all of these people around that, you know, you've all got the common interest of film, the interest in documentary, and then on top of that, you've all got the heart to come out to a place like Vietnam and tell really impactful stories. So there is definitely that level of commonality across the board, but then there is so much different with, as you said, the kind of career trajectory and the path that everyone's on. And everyone is, age is a really hard thing to kind of, you know, like, identify as, like, you're this age and you're in this part of your career, because everyone's in such a different boat, which is kind of cool.
I mean, I feel like just part of it is career, but also in just different stages of life, especially for the people I got to know the best, is like, everyone's just like, you know, like, when you're growing up and your mom will probably teach you, like, everyone, you never know, you know, like, the line, like, you never know what, like, you shouldn't judge people because you never know, like, what's going on that you don't know about. When you just see someone on the street or whatever, you have no idea what their story is. You haven't walked a mile in their shoes, so maybe you should wait until you do. But anyway, it's really interesting because when you really get to know people, it's like, there was a lot of, like, both ways towards me and coming from me, is like, with people, it's like, oh my God, I had no idea. And it's all these interesting experiences, whether that's positive or negative. It's really, like, they all just go together as experiences. And then it just reminds you that, like, we're all from different places, and there's some small and some big cultural differences, namely, like, I think the big one was the definition of entree.
No, I knew you were going to say this. Yeah, we had a big debate about this last night at dinner time around. Wait, do you want me to order a main meal or an entree? And it's like, no. Appetizers, entree is very different. But yeah, you're right. There are a lot of cultural differences. But you're right. But somehow, we're all able to mix, which is important.
Yeah,
right?
But it's like, people just have different experiences, and to see everyone, I guess, together together in one place with one goal in mind is like, and you really just like making the films is one thing, but in those kind of those quiet, those in between moments of like, especially editing week, everyone's here, they're editing, and like, oh my God. And then there's these kind of lulls between work because, every now and then we're sitting at the table and we just got to stand up and walk around or go get food or whatever, just go for a walk. And then in those quieter moments, you just get this really genuine, raw conversation, and it's just like, you just learn so much. And it's just interesting that, you just have to remember that nobody here is a robot. Everyone's a human being. They were born at some point in the last 50 years, and just trying to include everyone. And then they grew, and they're still growing. And I'm part of that. You're part of that. We're all part of. We all just keep growing in career, and especially for me, just like in life and. Yeah. But
I think, again, like to extend on that, like your willingness to jump in and to be curious and to sort of be a bit of a sponge around people from a range of different experiences and backgrounds, I think that, again, shows that, that kind of that deeper level of intelligence around, hey, like I want to get to know these people more, and I'm not going to assume that, they're far behind or in front of where I am. We're all equals here, and we're gonna find a way to work together, but better, most of all, find ways that we can bring out the best of each other. And I think you've done that really well, and I think the group in general has had a good vibe around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which has been nice. Now, specifically on your film and your project, what are some of the I guess the moments that'll stand out for you the most, or some sort of learnings from that experience that you'll cherish or that you'll use as real learnings for the future?
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the big things was like taking on roles that I wasn't prepared for and learning, like that on the fly learning is just the way I like to learn. And I was talking about the other day was doing this thing, you're just expanding your palette or your repertoire and just showing that you can do all these different things, whether it be editing or producing or whatever, then that just serves you well in life and especially in career, because you just are able to say that you've done more than just, because like going into this, there are two roles on a project that I most am interested in. One is directing and the other is editing. And just for, this tumultuous kind of, I guess, environment where it's just like, oh, hey, you're producing now. And it's like, I think it's a great learning experience, and it's also just, now I can say, I produced it, co-produced.
Nah, I was waiting for that. Yeah. But yeah, it was certainly, I think a couple of days out, I found out that, there was going to be some changes and that, there was going to be needing more producing support for your particular film. And it was fantastic to be able to work with everyone within your much smaller group. And in a lot of ways, I did see certain individuals shine and meet that expectation and really, go to that extra level. And you were certainly one of those people. And, it was awesome. Like working with you, being in the trenches again. My God, man, like we got some stories about that. But it's amazing. Like you did rise to those levels. You're even doing sound on set as well. That's another thing that you were strongly involved with, and giving advice about certain shots and running and getting, all the producer stuff, like getting those release forms and everything, man. So like stuff that maybe previously you weren't doing, and so to have that experience now, you know what is required. You'll be a lot more. You may not necessarily want to do a lot of that again, but you know how to do it, and that's a really important thing. And given the time frames too, certainly rose to the occasion and made sure that all of it was ticked off, and that's a huge learning experience for you, for all of us, right?
Yeah, it's just so much to wrap my head around. I'm still, I guess, processing. Part of it being just like the documentary process, but also, if I may say, that the day we're shooting this is also the day that most of everyone, except for I guess a few of us, most of everyone is on airplanes right now, going home or going to their next stop on their way home or whatever, and it's just like I'm so used to a few people in Select, I guess, in particular. I'm used to just texting. It's like I wake up, it's like, oh, I'm hungry, and I'm gonna text this person and this person, and this whole thing, and then lunch, dinner, or just hanging out. Let's go hit the shops, as one might say.
Yeah.
And like people who have taped an episode on this very couch, like I like hang out with, and now it's like they were sitting here yesterday or 2 days ago, and now I guess to a certain extent it feels like because we're staying just across the bridge out there, and it's emptying up, That hotel's emptying up in terms of people that I know, and I'm so used to just walking around the area. You'll run into someone and it's like, oh hey, blah blah blah, and then you might even just turn that into plans together, and then you've got just in the lobby of the hotel, you just run into people and it's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're editing? Oh, sick, me too, let's go edit. And it's this whole thing, and then but now it's like most of everyone is flying away, and it's, I don't know, evidently I'm not ready to fly away yet, but I eventually gonna go back to Canada, go back to the -30, and just deal with it, I guess. But I think as soon as I get back to Canada, when I'm back home, I think the first thing on my mind really is, how do I take the next step from this? Because this was a huge step, and I want to, this was a mountain, and I feel like I've climbed it, and the whole thing is just, where's the next one? Where's the mountain that's just a bit taller than this one? And when I've climbed that one, it's what's a bit taller than that one, and again and again and again, just until I reach the top of Mount Everest, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just until I run out of mountains to climb. It's just, there's always something to be doing, and just going home, figuring out what's the logical next step, and then taking that next step.
Yeah.
That's the plan, that's the goal, that's the dream.
And I think it's great that you're not necessarily locking yourself into any given answer about that too. Mm-hmm. The fact that you're still open to discovering what that might be, and that answer may not come to you until you are, back in Toronto. And the reality is, man, is that it kind of is it's always a funny feeling at the end of these programs where everyone does leave, and you're so used to getting into a routine where you're just expecting someone to be nearby at any given time that you can hang out with, and you're going to cherish those relationships because, given where everyone is geographically, they're not, a couple of doors down, or they're not in a different district of the city. They're all the way on the other side of the world in some circumstances. So, the fact that that is changing is a big thing. But also at the same time, using this as a real stepping stone to what you want to do next is super exciting too. And so I'm sure there's going to be more lessons that you're unpacking, right? As you're continuing to move around this country and then back to your own country. I'm sure you're going to continue to have that discovery. Yeah,
before this trip, I couldn't even, imagine, like, I could barely fathom, like, international, like, cross ocean, like, travel.
Yeah.
And then, at least on a consistent basis. And now it's like, I'm so ready to go to the opposite corner of the world and just to hang out. I just want to see more, do more, because there's just, like, even being as young as everyone keeps reminding me I am, is, it's just never enough time to do everything. So I want to do as much as possible, and that applies to travel, that applies to work, that applies to life. And I just want to do as much as possible, and that's why, I'm going to continue traveling after Ho Chi Minh City. And then when I get home, it's just, how can I expand upon what this trip has done for me as a person and as a filmmaker? And, where's the next mountain?
Where's the next mountain? And also, with that, where's the next collaboration? Because, everyone I've spoken to on this podcast, post-program or during program, have kept saying, that buzzword of collaboration. And where are the opportunities? And who knows, maybe a lot of those opportunities you got to create. But the fact that you've all got a similar palette around social impact storytelling, documentary, or even narrative, more so like around, the longer form storytelling, an hour plus. I think everyone's got that kind of that appetite to do more. So, you may not be the only one, doing mountaineering post this program, which is kind of cool to think about.
In the context of people from the program specifically, but just in general, is like, I feel pretty confident that, if anyone comes out with a film that's playing the Toronto International Film Festival, if anyone's playing TIFF, or if I'm playing if I'm playing South by Southwest, I have a place to stay there now. And, if I'm playing MIF, then, Hey. We can hang out.
Melbourne town.
And, just all over the world, really, there's just people to hang out with, exactly. And people to collaborate with. And it gets to the point where, to a certain point, it's like, okay, if I'm here, then it's going to be easy to a certain extent, just because easy to be there because I'll know people there.
Yeah.
But also, like, it might even, I don't know, I think it might even lead to seeking out particular cities or provinces or states in the world, specifically because I know, there's someone to hang with, someone to work with there, and that's all you can ask for.
Exactly. And if you've got the person as well that's willing even to meet you in a place where you guys might have some sort of aligned idea too. Maybe they may not necessarily live there, but they want to do a story somewhere that you're also interested in. You do sometimes see like people, meeting in a place that's not their home, but they both got an interest in that story and they go and make it. So it's good to have that kind of open-mindedness when it does come to collaboration, because you just don't know where you'll end up doing that next project or climbing that next mountain. So it's pretty cool to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely. Again, I'm still processing.
There's a lot, isn't there? There's a lot.
There's just so much to go through, and it's special. It's been a special February.
Yay! There you go. That's cool. Yes.
It's been special. What can I say?
Yeah, it has been, man. And just finally, for those people out there listening, like, if they want to get involved in anything like this, and if they are looking to maybe take that first step, right, in going somewhere foreign, somewhere different, somewhere a little bit like, am I cut out for this? Is this going to be okay? What kind of advice would you give them around how to approach it?
Yeah, honestly, if I have to, it's very hard, but if I have to narrow it down to just tell them one thing, don't think about it too much, just listen to this one thing and only this one thing from me, is just like honestly just relax. You know, just chill. Before you go, while you're on the plane, relax. When you're working, you know, you work hard and there's natural stress that comes from that. But generally, just realistically, just remember as you're doing all this stuff that it's never going to be the end of the world. And realistically, it's not even going to be the end of your film, your career, anything. Is like even the film in particular is just, you just gotta, it's gonna be naturally stressful, but you can't just like let it, as soon as you feel the pressure, you know, if you, I guess my thing is, if you feel generally that you want to be in the film industry, you want to be a filmmaker of any capacity or any kind in a serious context, that, or a serious capacity, then you should be able to, you know, like just make a documentary. And, you know, if you're going on an Actuality Abroad trip, just, you know, if you're going to make a documentary with Actuality Abroad, like that's making a film, and that's part of it. And if, you know, it definitely gets stressful at times. But the thing is, you know, when you, I guess, if you're gonna sign up for it, just like, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen kind of thing is like. But if you're sure that you want to be a filmmaker, then this is the kind of thing that you, if it's available to you under like financial means, I guess, you definitely go for it. But also just remember that like it's like, this is how it is when it gets stressful. It sucks to be stressed out, but that's, to a certain extent, that's the reality of film as a whole. And it's really just, you know, it's just, you can be stressed, but don't let it control you. And it's just like, you know, there's always going to be stress on a film set, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that's pre-production, writer's room, in production, or if you're in the editing room. It's all very, very stressful, especially when you're on budget or when you're time constraints, which is a big thing here. That's just the reality of it. There will always be budget constraints, and especially time constraints, definitely for us. But also, it's just that, like, in lieu of that, you're still going to make the film, right? So it's really just being, I guess, keeping composure and just like, you just got to keep living, man.
Got to keep living, man. All right.
L-I-V-I-N.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
This is what I'm talking about, man. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss just bouncing quotes off you. Very obscure quotes, too. Like, you know, like random Eric Andre episodes. Like, I would like that. The thing is, you're right. Like, you know, when it's hot in the kitchen, it can be very overwhelming. It can be stressful. It can feel like, you know, the walls are falling in. But at the same time, you know, you zoom out ever so slightly and have that perspective. There is a way to find grounding within that and better understanding about how to, you know, best be a lot more relaxed and not induce more pressure and more stress on other people, and kind of be that person that can be a little bit more calm under that pressure situation. Of course, everyone's going to be very different in those situations, but it's great advice because, yeah, if you are a lot more calm, it does allow the process to be just a lot more comfortable for all. So I definitely saw that approach from you, and that did allow others to really be themselves and you know, enjoy the process and relax a lot more. So it's excellent advice, and I'm sure I'll continue to see you doing that in general. But Max, thank you for everything that you've done on this experience. You've added just so much value in general to just not only just the filmmaking process, but just, you know, as a person. And so I know we're definitely going to keep in touch. But again, just, you know, very grateful that you've given everything to this experience. And yeah, we got through it. And the film got out there and it was very well received. So, yeah, should be immensely proud of what you've done. And, yeah, I hope you continue to share the success that you've had on this program with everyone you know. And you continue to climb those mountains, my man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. All right, let's get this. Oh, wow, that was an air one. Oh, that could be the best one. And we got it on camera too. Well, we are continuing our series of interviews with the amazing Actuality Abroad documentary outreach program in Saigon. Yeah. I am here with Ken. Ken, first of all, congratulations for getting through to the end of the program. Your movie, Mr. Happy, screened last night. First of all, how are you feeling after that whole experience?
It's still taking some time to take all, you know, to kind of, for stuff to soak in. But right now, it feels refreshing. It's amazing when you can conceive an idea and go with a plan, and it all comes together when it's executed well, and then you see it on the big screen. It's a pleasure.
It is, right?
It's a good feeling. It's a blessing, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, and you spoke so well last night. You, of course, are the director of this Mr. Happy project, and Mr. Happy, who's Saigon Happy Tours, he was there last night, was very impressed with the film. What was it like actually being able to, I guess, share your appreciation for the whole experience and actually be there last night to see some of the familiar faces that you were actually filming alongside?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So it was very refreshing. It's funny because I put myself in a position where I can actually see Happy, and because I was interested to hear responses. I kind of felt like I got the green light because he looked at me, he gave me the thumbs up. So I was like, and that kind of put the icing on the cake, but also my crew, seeing their faces kind of light up to see something on the big screen, and us kind of talking about it, because we all kind of had. It was a project. It was a process going through it, and you know, you go into this woods. I'm trying to put an analogy on it.
I'm liking this.
You know, you go in as mercenaries, and you all come out alive, and you save a whole village, and that's what I felt like with this project. Because not only that, we did put a village on the forefront of the whole beautiful Vietnam and Saigon, and that was really important. Just to do some good and to show good, and something represents as good, it felt good, and I think that's a lot. But yeah,
I think that's a great analogy, Ken. And for the audience out there, give a little bit of an introduction to yourself.
Yeah.
Your name, where you're from,
sure.
And what actually led you here to this documentary outreach program.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So initially, what led me here? And I was always into filmmaking. I covered a few films back in the day, and then also some guerrilla stuff that we just had to get it done.
Yeah, wow,
so
love that.
And so I initially started out with a few music videos where I kind of got a gist of the storytelling in this sense, in the independent style. Then later on, I was kind of bouncing in and out of just jobs, because that time got really strange with the architecture industry. So I always always fascinated myself with filmmaking, and then I would always be drawing little images of things, or ideas I had in mind, way before I started scripting. Wow. And this was kind of gave me that green light, like there may be something here I can do. And that kind of catapulted me into work with a few independents, and they saw like the storyboards. So it's like, you know what, we can kind of use somebody with that value. And we went together and make some additional films. I kind of veered off and made one of my own 4 short films, Subject Desmond. The best film you ever seen in your life.
No!
17 minutes of life. But really, I think the biggest thing about that movie is not so much about the outcome of it. It was the making. And I think that's something we ought to don't take for granted, because it takes a lot from conception to execution, but getting all that that story in between. So that helped out. But so with that being said, fast forwarding, we got through that. I just got in a few independent film festivals.
Yeah, love it.
Got around there. I volunteered for a few of them. Learned a lot of different people from our actors, directors, and all kind of parts. And somebody told me, well, if you want to get into film and you really want to have control of just the narrative, and also you need to get more into the writing side, then you can direct it if you know how to write it. So it all made sense, and that's what I did. And fast forward in 2019, I was on scale to be here in Vietnam to do some teaching and also do some more writing and get involved. Pandemic came, kind of shut that down for about a good 5 years.
Wow, yeah.
So when this opportunity showed up, I had to fact check it to make sure this is actually a real thing. And I wouldn't be in punk, as they say, like, oh, is this really real? So I had a phone call with Robin, and me and Robin just kind of hit it off of a good conversation. And he told me, yeah, this is. He kind of, kind of made sure, it was be a good fit match, and it worked out. So that last time I went, what we call it, balls to the wall. I know that's.
No, I know the phrase. Yeah.
Got it going. I made this happen. So it was just off, and appreciate the community of Soulard and for kind of helping me help out a lot with the support there, and also family members and friends and family from churches all different worldwide. It's funny when you're passionate about something, the contribution people will make to see something good, and they know it's something good. So big shouts out to them as well.
I love that.
So that got here. So everything, it feels like I kind of missed some time with that 1919, but now fast forwarding. Last time I was watching about Vietnam, they were doing the train. So now the train is fully built.
Yes, it is.
Several malls are here.
Yeah.
So it kind of is like everything kind of happened in this alignment, if that may work out. So now I'm here. And with this film opportunity, I got a chance to do something awesome. I feel good about the content. And that means a lot, because sometimes I have been blessed to get content, but it just didn't feel right. And even though it paid bills, it just the content wasn't there. And so it's just fortunate to have this opportunity to do something on these lines where it's beautiful. Yeah, it's passion. So yeah,
it's beautiful, man. And that is the differentiating factor, isn't it, with Actuality Abroad, in the sense that, obviously you've been involved in a lot of different film productions, a lot of different content creation, but what we're doing here with Actuality Abroad is social impact storytelling, is partnering with these local change makers and actually telling stories about people that are already doing good in the community. How did you kind of find that experience of actually knowing that this particular story, really does touch into the community here in Saigon, especially with Mr. Happy specifically, but just in general telling, social impact stories? Is this the first time you've kind of done that sort of level of work, or is this kind of an extension in some of the work that you've done, but different because we're obviously in Vietnam?
Now, that's a great question. This is kind of sort of more of an extension of what I've already done. I've done some documentaries before, which started out as a documentary, but unfortunately the person who was interviewed passed on, so we had to make it into a narrative film, and that was a film relative to Tuskegee Airmen. We did a film on that, and it just had me more captivated about all these stories that that still need some life, that exist in the past. Because I do believe the good thing about documentary films is that they do showcase stories that need to be told and give a different perspective, so other people who may not have the experience to see it, they can experience it as well. And then sometimes if it's something that's more like a dated piece, they can have a sense of history in which to make them a better overall person, to see how some people or some communities had to persevere. And that's important, and I think that's the beauty of what documentary work shows, when you say about impact, purpose-driven information. So this helped enhance that, because now I was exposed more to a structure of how to go from conception to execution. And Robin and Michael, yourself, was really instrumental of showing us that process. And we can plug and play, and now we can see it and visualize it and get it done.
Exactly. And for a visual, like we are literally sitting here doing the interview, I think 22nd floor of our Ho Chi Minh City apartment, and I'm looking to my left and I see this huge wall filled up with paper edits. Now, this is your actual movie's paper edits. Now, something like this, you talk about structure, conception. This is obviously something new to you, and how did you find kind of, I guess, learning more about sort of the unique structures that Actuality Abroad teach around sort of putting together a film from, you know, your opening shot to your closing shot, and how much of that did you then sort of, be able to sort of craft the movie to what you filmed as a director, as a crew?
Well, first, you know, I'm used to drawing things first, or kind of going about it with an outline, or we call it beat sheet.
Yeah.
But I have been exposed to people saying that you should use these, you know, like index cards. And this kind of was on a level of that, something similar, but now I guess it makes it even more handy because Post-its you can stick on the wall.
Yeah, literally. Sticky tape.
Yeah, so I like that whole process. And with anything, Michael, this reiterated the sense of using it's just a map. It's a blueprint of a map.
Absolutely.
And once you see how it works, it does make things a little more linear. And you know, you're also exposed to how you can kind of plug and play. If something doesn't work, take it off, scratch that, write something else, and put it back on there. So it's always flexible. But when you can put something together like what you have here, everybody can see it. And that's important for a crew, because sometimes when you try to visualize something, you can explain it, you can express it, but if they can't see it, it could be another challenge within the group. So this definitely has done that. And for conception wise, when they see it, you have an idea where it flows. But another good thing about it too, sometimes in films you do get a little off track, and this brings you right on back to where you left off and what needs to happen to see done. And but it's nothing like a good map. I mean, map been used for ages, and it's continuing to go on. And I think this is AI proof.
Yeah.
Put it on the wall.
Put it on the wall. Put it on the wall. Now, Ken, you were also someone on this trip that actually read Robin Canfield's incredible documentary textbook, and this is a pretty new thing that's been released to the market. As someone who has purchased it, who's read it, and who's kind of taken all of that in. In fact, last night it was funny. You had it out like a yearbook, and we were all signing it, which I absolutely love. One of the best parts of my high school experience. What was it like actually reading that textbook, and can you recommend it to people, especially at that level that want to sort of understand these kind of structures that we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a strong believer in books, you know, this knowledge. Fortunate enough, Robin kind of he already had it all kind of thought out, like, you know, this book can be very instrumental, especially on his travels. And sometimes you can't always talk to people when you need to ask a question or something else. So if you can, the better thing is to get the book. But it just makes sense to have the book on this trip, because if there was a question I have, I can kind of go to the book for a reference, or even go to a reference on how he handled it. And if he's not available, just got a book. But, you know, I've always studied. Even through college, I feel like it was a textbook to kind of have. And it kind of served as a piece of a content that, you know, I would strongly recommend everybody come, or recommend buying before they go on a trip. And having the chance to be able to read it, you know, now you kind of have a more ideal scope. So when you come here, it's more like you're already somewhat prepared. I mean, it's still going to be things that's going to happen. But at least you kind of have a somewhat a better idea or blueprint of the best way. So now you got the book in place, you read the book, now you see the person who wrote the book, and now he's going to show you another workshop. So it's like a double whammy of just solid information. So it's like, So I strongly recommend students or whoever come on the trip, get the book prior first. And the best thing is you're sitting there with the author himself, who made it, and you can even ask questions. There were some things that I go back into the book where he really helped me, specifically with me being a director in documentary and films, kind of giving them more of an on-site of what my responsibility is, and then also the responsibility of my team. So if there was some, some challenges, I can always refer to the book and say, hey, when it comes to producer, this is something that what I've been shown, what I've read, that this is something that needs to be exercised, and that way people can kind of have a feel of how to approach this.
Love
so yeah, that was great, and definitely recommend it. And as far as the getting the signing, I don't know, I just felt like this is a
that was good.
It really felt like a yearbook. I don't know. I went back to school. I had been to school in probably the last 20 years. 20 years, so to kind of get back into the training. But I also believe in having memory, things of memory,
Love that.
memorabilia, And that, what a better way to have people sign it, leave signature, write if you want to call this, because what I envision 80, 40 years from now, I can reach out to you guys and say, hey, you guys remember this book? And hopefully everybody be in a great place at that time, wherever it takes them. So,
right.
Yeah. So,
and what you referenced there is a really nice segue into, something that's so beautiful about this program is the people. The people you get to work with. Obviously, the ChangeMakers, they're incredible. We love them. But speak a little bit to, I guess, the networking component of this experience. Obviously, Robin and I have such a privileged position to be able to meet all of you incredible creatives, but for you as well to work with such a diverse team, your crew members that you had, and then obviously, the other participants of this program as well. What are some of the networking takeaways that you've had, and some of the potential friendships that you'll take away from this journey?
Oh man, it's hard to find a place to start, man. Because I think the best thing about this experience, everybody was they were younger than me, and that's really good because now they're still trying to get their feet wet. So to be exposed to what is taking place, even if it didn't make sense, 10 to 20 years now, it will ring a bell, and they'll have this experience to kind of go back to where they can ponder on and actually have our approach on something that can work. And it's always about options. So I think that's really good for networking. And as far as networking, absolutely. There's some people you're going to really, man, I didn't get a chance to work with you on the last project, but hey, if something comes up, you're going to get a call from me. I'm glad I exposed. I mean, I know your capacities, but what's bigger than capacity, because I think that everybody's pretty much solid in their craft. It's just a relationship, the type of person.
Correct.
The energy. So, but yeah, I think that really exposed it. And if you can go through a trip where no one knows how to speak the language, but you have to go more with empathy and the feeling of people, and hope you can get the response that they can trust you to do something prolific, and you take a team through it. I mean, what better way to reiterate that solid relationship and stand it?
Exactly, Ken, and that's what I love about travel in general. Is just you always feel like you discover more about yourself. You find that multidimensionality. You find ways of problem solving. You are put out of your comfort zone because there is the language barrier, and there's a lot of different cultural things that we may not be aware of. But There is a beauty to that as well, because it's a learning experience, and I think definitely after these experiences, you do see the world in a very different way. You get those new perspectives. You talk about Happy at the presentation last night and stepping into different people's shoes, and you've got a great grasp of that. But certainly these travel experiences do allow you to see the world differently.
Yeah. And then another good thing too, Michael, you're meeting people from all around the world. Yeah. One thing I learned with my group, my way may not be the right way. There's different people have different work ethics, different moves, so you get to take that in consideration. And there were times I just said, you know what, maybe that's not the answer, but why do I feel like my answer is always right? Be open, be exposed, that's what I have to say. Be as calm and chill as you can, and this and that. And like I said, having a chance to work with somebody from another part of the world is just phenomenal in itself. And hopefully, like I told, whether it's Anya, Mimi, or even Maya, who I got a chance to work with, opportunity comes up in the United States, St. Louis, Missouri, whatever else, and something interesting, and if you ain't busy, we'll figure something out, and because I know, I kind of know the kind of person, the kind of artist you are already now, get it shown, so, and we all been battle tested, so.
Yes, yeah.
So I know, but I know how to prep it. I know how to prepare that individual. So they be like, it's a yay, nay, but we'll see, man. That's good though. But
I love that. I love that. And I think having those relationship dynamics already kind of, as you said, battle tested, love that phrase. All of that's really important. And sort of knowing, some of the collaborative sparks that come from this experience can continue in future projects is definitely one of the key reasons why it's so important to, put yourself out there for these types of experiences. For you, coming out of this experience, obviously, we're wrapping up, team dinner tonight, all those kind of things. What are some of the key takeaways that you're going to really cherish from this program? Doesn't necessarily have to be the filmmaking in its in its sort of entirety, but even just some of the experiences of being back here in Vietnam and having this experience. What are some of the things that you'll likely treasure the most, Ken, about this experience?
That's a great question, Michael. First and foremost, the blessing just to be in a place where I can fully concentrate on the craft. No distractions, no one's knocking on my door, no phone calls, no news. We can just tunnel vision into the craft and work. And I think that's one thing that Actuality Abroad has allowed me that opportunity to kind of build. It's just enhanced. I think I enlightened a whole other part of my brain just to have that isolation. And the fact that you're in an element like Vietnam or anywhere else in the world physically is challenging as well. And that's just going to make you overall a better person. And then sometimes it feel like a little reset too at the same time. Career-wise, open up other doors for just things to kind of flourish and things to kind of happen. So it's a lot of different factors that I'm definitely going to take away from that.
Love that.
And just, you got it done. You meet these awesome people. Everybody came in and left safe. You just don't know. It's a lot of unpredictable things. But I hope one thing about that book, if I find myself going through challenging times, because it is a film, can be a little bit of struggle, I will always have that piece of information I can go back to. And as much as it is, the book has helped me. Well, it's helping others. It's also helping me because now I got this book of people who said hopefully great things. That can be a refresher. Hey, Ken, don't give up. Keep going. Because I've always tried to be within this trip somewhat of a mentor, and just if anybody can ask, I want that to be available. And I hope that's something we can also allow others, future come, more people that can also come who maybe had done like yourself and just, kind of help mentor a little bit and so people can kind of get it when they feel like they're getting in the mud and stuff, they can have somebody that has a different mindset and just take and steer that ship when it comes to difficult tides.
Absolutely. And not to mention the life experience that you bring and just the energy, the positivity, all of that is there. And I think that you're so right. You inevitably, you're going to have those challenging times. You're going to have things that there might be some disconnects there for one reason or another, but the fact that you can just continue to go back to something, be grounded, and continue to shine in those moments is so important. And I saw that a lot, particularly for your group, particularly for you, how you not only manage a project but manage people. And manage yourself and your emotions in those times, because everyone gets tested. That's a part of the program. But I think you did exceptionally well with that, just being able to observe that. And we're all going to be better people because of that, So I love that. And just finally, for someone who knows, might be from St. Louis, it might be from somewhere else in the US or the world, or a younger version of yourself, even if we want to spin it back to that, what kind of advice would you best give about if you're considering wanting to do a program like this or get yourself out of potential comfort zones and give something like this a try? What would your best advice be, Ken?
Prepare yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and also nutritionally, I guess. Because it will be some things, but I think if you let either of those things distract you from saying yes to a trip like that, then get over that challenge. So just do it. Try it out. Get going. Just find a way.
Just give it a crack.
Just give it a find a way, because you're not going to find an experience like this. A lot of times people go to these countries in different places to resorts and things like that. I'm sure everybody needs that relaxation. But for those who are filmmakers or just want to touch on something with more meaning, more content that can be substantially grounded for something they can find hope and also build and learn something from others, because you're not going to know it yourself. This is perfect. But most important, it's going to provide more of a footprint of opportunity that you didn't even know that was in yourself, that you now have found a new superpower. And you can also keep passing the torch to make personally driven, impactful films.
Right.
And that's go. So just do it.
Just do it. I love it. And I swear Nike isn't sponsoring this. But no. But it's wonderful advice, Ken. And I do believe that, people that put themselves into these positions, they grow. And I said this earlier in my interview with other people. It's like that one film, you just don't know who that's gonna reach, who that is gonna touch. Someone like a Mr. Happy, he's gonna go and share that with his community. He's gonna inspire more people to be authentic travelers, like those kind of inspirational messages. The way that you see the film and then you put it out there, that then gets spread to countless other people. And I think that spreading that positivity, it's just so hard to, tangibly see how much that's going to positively affect people. So it's very powerful, the work that you've done. And, from a personal level, being able to work with you, the positivity, the energy, all the connections that you make with everyone. I couldn't believe it when I saw you down at the Meander Hotel for the first time. You knew everyone. It was incredible.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
I think it was amazing, man. You're fist bumping everyone. Everyone knew your name. I mean, continue to do that, man. Like, do not lose that ability to just continue to connect with people, because I saw that firsthand, and I'm like, this guy lifts people up. And I think having that is it's just going to continue to get you so far in life, man. So thank you for just being you, So it's been a real pleasure to work with you. Thank you for taking the time to obviously chat on this podcast and share your story and more importantly, continue to inspire.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm grateful. And blessings.
Blessings. We'll be in touch, Ken. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome, man. That was awesome.